Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram right here, and also go and follow the key on millions.co right here. Here is my page on millions.co. Here is my dashboard when it comes to everything that involves me. Here's my merchandise. Well, excuse me. Here's my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise last month, and we are going to roll out new merchandise before this month ends. We also have a brand new logo. This is a part of our rebrand. It's a much better logo, and you will see it on every piece of clothing that you purchase, no matter what. And also, one last thing, here is my profile so that you will know it is me. Now, let's get to the three games in the NBA playoffs that were on last night. So, the first game was the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Cleveland, they pretty much did what I thought that they were going to do. As you can see, another efficient game by Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. As you can see, when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, the only two starters they had in double figures were RJ Barrett with 22 and Scotty Barnes with 26. Everybody else were in single digits, and Sandro Mashilevi had 12 points and Colin Murray Boyles had 17 points. But now, like I said after last night, when it comes to the Raptors, this is the $1,000,000 question. Can they protect home court and force the series back to Cleveland for a game five? As of right now, it's looking like it's going to be a sweep. Now, I predicted that the Cavaliers would win in 5 games, but who knows? It's like the way that the Cavaliers played, they had the lead for the majority of the game, and as you all can see, they had contributions from 4 of their 5 starters. Dean Wade, he had 3 points. You had Donovan Mitchell, 30 points. James Harden, 28 points. Evan Mobley, 25 points. So that was your big three right there. And you really didn't need contributions from your bench, but you did. You did have that. You had Dennis Schroeder with 5, Sam Morelli with 5, Matt Strus with 6, and Jalen Tyson with 3. So, one thing about the Raptors and the Cavaliers, for what before the series started, this looked like a matchup on paper. But since we've looked at these statistics throughout the entirety of this game, throughout the entirety of this series, since it started, it's basically a one-sided affair in the statistical department. But as far as like the final score of this game was 115-105. Final score of the first game, game 1, was 126-113. So the Raptors, they've always been in striking distance, but it's just been key times in the game where a missed rebound here, a missed 3-point shot, and missed free throws. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all something. The Raptors missed 3 free throws last night, but they were 7 of 26 from the 3-point line, and that did not go in their favor. Also, when it comes to turnovers, another thing I talk about is turnovers. They had 22, so they were supposed to lose. When you have 20 plus turnovers, you're going to lose in the NBA or any sport no matter what, because your opponent, you're giving them more possessions and more times to score more than not. And now, see, third quarter, I'm just going to go right to the third quarter when we get to these highlight clips. okay, this is first quarter, but I'm going to get right to, okay, late in the second quarter, right here. Everything, it was still a manageable score, down by 7 for the Toronto Raptors. And then once they scored right here, once they scored right there, they were down by 5. But then once we get to the third quarter, the Cavaliers, they started to go on a run, and the deficit for the Raptors was 10, but it ballooned to 12 at one point. Like I said, right there, 13. That was the largest lead up until that point. And for the Cavaliers, as far as you didn't get much from your bench production, like I said a few seconds ago, but they really didn't need their bench because James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and basically Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley had a very efficient game. And the Raptors, regular season success versus the Cavaliers, regular season success doesn't translate to success in the playoffs. And as you all can see, once we get to the fourth quarter, 9-point lead, they went up by 12. There is 14-point lead, and that was basically it right there. So 115 to 105. Cavaliers, they are up by 2 games now in this series. Game 3 is tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow night, but game 3 is Thursday night in Toronto. Let's see if the Toronto Raptors can respond on their home floor in game 3. The next game I am going to cover, I'm going to go a little bit quick with this segment since it was only 3 games last night, was the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Now, I commend the Minnesota Timberwolves. They won this game last night, but it was tough. They were down as many as 18 in the first quarter. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, they could have just packed it in and said, hey, let's just get ready for game 3. But they kept chipping away at the deficit, and all of a sudden a 20-point deficit became a 14-point deficit. Then a 14-point deficit became an 8-point deficit. And then all of a sudden you look up, Minnesota has the lead, and it was pretty much nip and tuck throughout the third and fourth quarter. But the last 4 minutes of the game was the telltale sign. And Julius Randle, he had 24. Jaden McDaniels had 14. Dante DiVincenzo had 16. Anthony Edwards had 30 points. And this is exactly what I've been talking about, because for the Timberwolves to win this series, Ant-Man has to be averaging 30-plus points per game, almost 40. I hate to say it, but the one-man show, and it seemed like all of his counterparts are going to have to join him. Because how often can you rely on Julius Randle to put up 24 points throughout on a game in, game out basis when it comes to the playoffs? He didn't do that much with the New York Knicks, and his time with the Timberwolves, he's had one game here and there where he's put up over 20 plus points. But can he do that consistently? It remains to be seen. And bench production last night for the Timberwolves, you didn't get much, but hey, it was pretty much the starting 5 had to basically will the Minnesota Timberwolves to victory. And for the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, they did what they had to do. Christian Braun, he did what he had to do, 16 points. Aaron Gordon, 8 points. Cameron Johnson, 13 points. And when it comes to bench production, they only had 23 points. And Spencer Jones and Jonas Valanciunas did not score at all. So this series, is tied. Game 3 is Thursday night. in Minnesota. Now let's see let's see what type of team is going to show up from both sides, from Timberwolves side and Denver Nuggets side. And I'm going to say this little historical stat for everybody. Teams that win game 3 after starting the series 1-1 goes on to win the series 82% of the time. So whoever wins game 3 is in the driver's seat to win the series. But obviously, we still have at least a game 5 in this case. Game 5 will be the 27th, Monday the 27th. And if we have a game 6 or a game 7, that is only if necessary. They will be Thursday and Saturday. So, one thing about the Timberwolves and Nuggets, these two are pretty much spitting images of each other. When you look at these statistics, you see where three-point shooting was pretty much the same. Free throws, as far as the percentage, the Nuggets, they were in favor. And as you can see, when it comes to offensive rebounds, +4 for the Timberwolves. Defensive rebounds, +2 for the Timberwolves. And when it comes to turnovers, Timberwolves had more turnovers, but it didn't hurt them. Points in the paint, +12 for the Timberwolves. So everything after the first half, everything went in the Timberwolves' favor. But we all know that the Denver Nuggets are going to respond in one of the next 2 games, if not both of them. So one thing that I'm going to show you all, since this is really a quick segment, this is how the game started off, and then let's just get to the third quarter. Now here's the third quarter. Everything is tied up. Last few minutes of the third quarter. Anthony Edwards goes right down the middle and scores. And another foul. And this was basically where the momentum turned for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You see where the Denver Nuggets, they started to make a run at it, but this is the late part of the third quarter. But as we get into the fourth quarter, last 2 minutes of this game, Minnesota started separating themselves a little bit. As you can see, 4 points, a 4-point lead. Then Denver comes down. Aaron Gordon shoots a 3, made that 3-point shot, 3 of his 8. Then Dante DiVincenzo pretty much gives you the capper. Dante DiVincenzo for 3 right here. Made that 3, kind of quieted the crowd a little bit. But here comes Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic back. Makes the dunk. They are down by 2. Now these last 50 seconds, this is where pretty much everything was so tight. And when Christian Braun missed that free throw, that was one where I said that's gonna hurt him. And pretty much that was pretty much it. You know, Jamal Murray didn't step back all the way for a 3. Minnesota gets the rebound, and Dante DiVincenzo scores with 3 seconds left, and that was pretty much the game there. So, Game 3 is tomorrow. Game 3 is tomorrow night. Let's see what the Denver Nuggets, can they respond? And let's see if the Timberwolves can keep this momentum. Now, the last game I am going to cover is the New York Knicks. I don't know how much time I'm going to take on the New York Knicks, because everybody, and I do mean everybody, last night was going through a range of emotions. And if you have seen my reaction video immediately after the Hawks and the Knicks last night, you see where I'm going with this. But starting off, the Hawks, Okongwu, 15 points. Jalen Johnson, 17 points. You had C.J. McCollum with 32. Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 9. Dyson Daniels with 6. Corby Crispert, 4 points. Jonathan Kuminga, 19 points. He was big coming off the bench. Tony Bradley, 2 points. Gabe Vincent, 3 points. For the New York Knicks, OG Anunoby, 14 points. Karl Anthony Towns, 18 points. Josh Hart, 15 points. Mikal Bridges, 10 points. Jalen Brunson, 29 points. Mitchell Robinson, 13. Jordan Clarkson, 7. And nobody else scored. Landry Shamet, Jose Alvarado, Miles McBride each had 3 big goose eggs in the terms of 0 points. Now, statistics. When we look at statistics, New York Knicks wasn't as efficient as the Hawks, but before the fourth quarter, the New York Knicks, they had this game firmly in hand. And as you can see, offensive rebounds +8 for the New York Knicks. Defensive rebounds +3 for the New York Knicks. Turnovers were about the same. Fast break points, not many fast break points. And points in the paint +4 for the Atlanta Hawks. Largest lead of the game was 4 for the Atlanta Hawks. And the largest lead was 14 for the Knicks, which leads right into my point. The New York Knicks, before last night, they were 40-1 in franchise history after leading by 12+ points going into the fourth quarter after 3 quarters. And the one game that they lost before last night after being up by 14 was the infamous Reggie Miller 8 points in 9 seconds choke game back in the 1990s. Now, one thing that I can say is I kind of already figured out where the New York Knicks went wrong down the stretch, because you were leading by 14 at the start. You were leading by 12 at the start of the fourth quarter, Then with 6 minutes left, you were leading by 14. And then all of a sudden, you got New York Knicks players coming down the floor, and for 7 consecutive possessions, they shot 3 ball after 3 ball and missed every time. That's why I said everybody that was on the New York Knicks head coaching staff, they must have had a biscuit for a brain last night, because nobody, and I do mean nobody, called timeout. If I was the head coach, after my team missed 3 shots, I'm calling timeout, because we got a 14-point lead, and I'm not trying to lose this game, because if we go up 2-0 on the Hawks, we obviously have all the momentum, and the Hawks, they pretty much have to be in survival mode when they play in game 3 and 4. But Mike Brown, he's not really a very vocal coach, because as you all can see, you can see his track record. When he was with the Cavaliers, it was pretty much, he was just a run-of-the-mill coach. When he was with the Sacramento Kings, he wasn't really a vocal coach. When he was with the Lakers, he wasn't really a vocal coach. So nothing, and I do mean nothing, shows that Mike Brown is a very vocal coach, and he enforced his system, because everybody knows that his system is the Princeton basketball system. When I say Princeton basketball system, he believes in having 2 bigs on the floor and 1 big on the floor, and having defensive specialists, and just having 2 scorers on the floor. But the New York Knicks, it shouldn't have been a collapse at all. It shouldn't have been a collapse. It just should have been downright. Head coach should have said, Okay, guys, we are up 14 with 6 minutes left. We do not need to shoot any more threes. Attack the basket, get fouled, and go make your free throws. And let's go up 2-0 so that we can start getting ready for game 3. But you didn't hear the head coach say nothing about that. Nothing. And even the whole coaching staff, I fought the head coaching staff about this. I fought the players about this because why are you shooting a 3-point shot with it's a 24-second shot clock? Why are you shooting a three with 17 seconds left in the shot clock? So it's bad free throw shooting, bad shot selection, turnovers, missed 3-pointers, and downright missed clock management in the last 6 minutes. That's why the New York Knicks lost this game. It's not just because they lost the lead and they blew the lead. That's contributions, but they had mishaps before they got that lead. So now let's see what the New York Knicks can do in game 3. Let's see if they can somehow respond, and let's see if the Atlanta Hawks can keep this momentum in their favor, because game 3 and game 4 is in Atlanta, and game 3 is Thursday night. Game 4 is Saturday night. New York Knicks. And to everybody that's a New York Knicks fan out there, this morning, I kind of already I know that the New York Knicks fans this morning, they are feeling weary. They are feeling eerie. Somebody needs to do a wellness check on the New York Knicks fan base, because what I saw last night, 14-point lead, 6 minutes left. You're supposed to close that out. You are supposed to slam the door on your opponent. You are supposed to slam the door on your opponent, and you didn't. And I'm gonna just go right to the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, and we just gonna look at this and see where this collapse really happened. We're gonna see where this collapse really happened. As you all can see, 12-point lead started the fourth quarter, and it was almost like the Knicks, it seemed like they couldn't score. Then we get to the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. You all can see these highlights. Y'all looking at the clips right now. The Knicks, they shouldn't have lost this game. They shouldn't. Last 6 minutes, down by 9. New York Knicks had an 82% chance at winning this game, but once we get down to the final 2 minutes of this game, this is where the telltale sign is. It was 100-99, now 101-100, and all of a sudden, you see CJ McCollum, he gets to his spot, and he scores. They went on an 11-0 run, and the Knicks, before Jalen Brunson 3, they didn't do nothing. CJ McCollum comes down, puts them up, puts the Hawks up by 2. And what was this play right here? What was this play? Y'all see this? See, this is why I say you got to go to the basket. I don't care how many people are in the paint, try and get fouled if you're Jalen Brunson. Now, we all know that Jalen Brunson, he is not going to be a shutdown defensive player. He not going to do that. But what you should have done was when you got the ball back right here, what Jalen Brunson should have did, he should have went all the way to the paint right here and scored. But he hesitated, went back, got stripped, and that was basically game over right there. See, Jalen Johnson, he didn't even have to score. As you all can see, a 3-point shot right there, and free throws. CJ McCollum, he missed both free throws. Now the New York Knicks didn't have a timeout. So you really had to press. And that's one of the reasons why they pressed right here. I believe that if Mikal Bridges only takes one dribble and just shoots, he probably has a better look than what he did. But New York Knicks. See, this is why I always give the New York Knicks a space of grace. New York Knicks last time they haven't the New York Knicks they haven't swept anybody in a while. And this is why I say that the Hawks could probably get one game or two games just because of the New York Knicks late game mishaps. And the Hawks, they got a game last night because of the New York Knicks late game mishaps. Now the New York Knicks, let's see what they can do. Can they respond? And also tonight's game. Now there are three game twos for tonight. We get to the 76ers versus the Boston Celtics, Trailblazers versus the Spurs, and Rockets versus the Lakers. Now those are who is all playing tonight. Boston is a 14.5 point favorite according to DraftKings. According to Hard Rock Sports Bet, the Boston Celtics are a 14-point favorite. San Antonio Spurs are an 11-point favorite according to Hard Rock Sports Bet. Shout out to Hard Rock Sports Bet. That is the only sports bet. That is the only sports book that I use. And DraftKings, the Houston Rockets are a 4.5 point favorite. We do not know if Kevin Durant will be playing in Game 2. He is listed as a game time decision. Everybody, we will know if Kevin Durant will be playing by the time 6:30 gets here. By the time 6:30 gets here on the East Coast, we should know if Kevin Durant is playing or not. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's game twos between the Atlanta Hawks, New York Knicks, Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets, and the Toronto Raptors and Cleveland Cavaliers. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here is my profile. Here is my merchandise. Here is our brand new logo, part of our rebrand. And here is my media feed for all of my different segments, clips, sound bites, and previous predictions to the play-in tournament and who I think who is going to win this series, all of these playoff series for the first round. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.